Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas. Welcome everyone to the Tier 3 Round 7 live commentary. We are just waiting for pit lane to be opened and for the qualifying session to get underway. Let me just change my audio settings again. Okay, and we are now officially into the qualifying session. I want to check my audio levels just to make sure everything is balanced okay. Make sure that the onboard isn't too loud for you guys. Seems like it's okay. So it's the Las Vegas Strip Circuit. Long straight there on the back end of the circuit. I believe it could be the longest straight on the F1 calendar, but don't quote me on that. Okay, so it looks like Names Jeff will be the first driver to start a flying lap, going across the timing line, going down into turn 1, a very tricky braking zone. We've seen multiple times now in the real life Formula 1 when they've gone to race the circuit, drivers locking up at their first corner. In fact, I believe the first Grand Prix held here in 2023 at quite a big turn 1 pile up as multiple drivers struggle with the low grip, cold conditions. No such issues yet for Jeff as he is continuing on with his qualifying lap into what is probably the hardest corner sequence on the entire track, the turn 7 and 8 chicane. A decreasing radius turn that then suddenly leads into a chicane and very easy to miss your braking point there. Very unique type of turn on the F1 calendar. And then we have this fast left-hand sweeper leading into a very heavy braking zone, which then leads onto the longest and most vital straight on the entire track, the Las Vegas Strip. Make sure you conserve enough battery for the straight so you can burn it when your DRS is open and reach a very high top speed. Jeff hitting 340 kph before hitting the brakes. Keeping a nice neat line, a little bit of a wobbly rear end there in the middle of the corner. And let's see what sort of lap time he puts down. Deployment used, so a bit of time lost there at the end of the straight. I do remember Las Vegas being a very energy finicky circuit. Very easy to run out of your allowed deployment around this track. Timigan about 2 seconds down on Jeff's time with a 1 minute 33.6. So Jeff has hit the early benchmark of a 1 minute 31.8. LPJVR, oh, he invalidated, it looked like on the final turn. All too easy to do. You want to cut that final turn as much as possible. The runoff area on the inside is completely flat, so there's only benefit to cutting that part of the circuit, but that also means you end up flirting with track limits. Looks like Dark Shadow Racing will be the next driver to come across the line. 0% battery left, so no deployment issues for him, but definitely a battery size issue. And he goes across the line with 1 minute 32.8. Looks like we only really have drivers starting a lap, and Buckingham looks like he's on a lap here. And Las Vegas is one of those tracks where you don't get too many shots at qualifying here. So how long the track is and how many straights there are, your warm-up and cool-down laps take significantly longer than at any other tracks. Bit of a wobble under braking there, hits the inside curb, and this is to avoid the outside wall. That turn 11 and 12 braking zone is so tricky. It's the trickiest braking zone on the track, I would say, and then turn 7 and 8 is the trickiest turn to make sure that you don't mess up and keep it nice and tight whilst carrying good minimum corner speed. Downshifting down to third, using all the curb in the middle of the corner there. You want to try and center your car over that curb so that you don't hit it with any of your tires, but if you end up being just ever so slightly misaligned, you end up spinning off into the barrier, just like Franco Colapinto did in 2024. Mercedes getting out of the way quite nicely there of White Tiger in the Aston Martin. Running the number 50, it looks like. As he crosses the line, goes up to third place, just a few hundreds down on Dark Shadow Racing, but Toxic Waste and the Racing Bulls goes up to second place, continuing his strong qualifying form so far this season. Riding on board with the Red Bull driver of LPJVR. In the brakes, going down to third. Hit the first curb quite nicely, are perfect over the second apex curb. You see the car just glided over that curb with no hesitation whatsoever. Out of battery once again as he crosses the line, and it's only a 32.4 So definitely some loose ends still to be tied around here for LVJVR. Slightly better energy management and potentially fresher tires. If those were, yes, those were older tires that he had on. But definitely some time that can definitely be found by the championship leader. But currently that time puts him up into 3rd place, which is not a bad starting position here at Las Vegas. Again, it's very, very difficult to open up a gap in the race here because of how long the straights are. Oh, as we see that there's a Mercedes in the wall. That is Forza. There he went deep. Potentially locked up his inside front tire. Just went into the barrier. Very easy corner to do that in. Turn forward. It feels sometimes like a low risk corner, but it is a very high risk corner, in fact. And Forza was caught out by it. But do we have anyone else here on a flying lap? Ohm looks like he's just started a lap. We will ride on board with the Williams driver as he misses the apex of turn 7 and 8. As I said, it is a very tricky corner to keep yourself on a neat and tidy line. Not the most difficult braking zone, but it is still tricky. But it is all too easy to go wide on the entry and lose all your time. So we see LVJVR in the pits along with Toxic Waste. Name's Jeff, I believe, he's starting a flying lap very shortly, and we will jump on board with him now. See if he can improve on his time braking between the 100-meter board and the 50-meter board. Getting on the power quite nicely. Hug the left-hand wall to open up the right-hander. Try and keep it flat if you dare. The eyes open and battery to be burnt down the straight into turn 4 where the Mercedes driver of Forza went off just a few minutes ago. MJF definitely taking a slightly cautious approach through there, but maximizing the exit and slightly tight line into the entry of turn 7. But it works out well for him, keeping it nice and neat, slightly wide of the apex of turn 9. But potentially that gives him a slightly better exit as he is able to carry a little bit more speed throughout the corner and straighten out the car a little bit earlier. Slight tap of the wall there under braking, which is definitely something that you can do. Using the curbs very nicely here as he gets on to straight. I missed what the 6th time was, so yet to know if this is going to be a massive improvement or only a slight improvement. Again, slight tap of the wall there. Going through this final chicane complex, extremely tricky set of corners, but also very vital if you can get a good exit. You carry that advantage all the way through here, but he has decided to bail out of it and cuts back into the pit lane. As I said, you don't have a lot of time in qualifying here, so if you're not on for an improvement of lap time, it is beneficial to jump into the pits, give yourself enough time to go out again on a fresher set of tires. As we see Timmy Gunn did not even know he was on a lap, but he goes quickest. So Timmy Gunn once again continuing with his qualifying surprises and jumping up to the top of the timing board for now. So the new benchmark is a 1 minute 31.831. And currently it is a second or so gap between P7 and P1. Josh Stewart, I believe, is on a flying lap. He has posted a time, but it is well off the pace. So I believe that was just a warm-up lap. Some interesting downshifting going on there. Almost as though he was already using super clipping in a 2025 car. Some weird throttle blips going on, but either way he does have an improvement of lap time, but is only to 10th place with a 1 minute 37.5. And now Alfie JVR has started his next flying lap. We do have Toxic Waste a little bit further up the road. Oh, that's quite wide for the Red Bull man, as he had to lift off the throttle and the rear wanted to step out on the very last second on the exit of turn 4. So this is turn 5. I always forgot that... ooh, you got an Aston Martin in the wall. No, he's not in the war. He's just simply making way, I believe. As Toxic Waste with a purple second sector, slightly up on his time, but don't think it'll be enough to displace Timmy Gunn at the top. Unless, of course, the timing information is comparing him to Timmy Gunn's lap time. But I don't think it is. Now for the final chicane. Ooh, bit loose on the rear there as he initially tried to apply the power. And he will come across the line. Looks like Alfie JVR is getting a good slipstream behind the Haas of Joshua Not there. As Toxic Waste goes across the line. Definitely not an improvement of position. Joshua Not potentially giving a bit of dirty air to the Red Bull driver here. Oh, as Alfie has now invalidated that lap. So qualifying definitely not going to plan for the championship leader. He started off the season extremely strong in qualifying, but has started to struggle slightly in more recent times, but he has made up for it in the races. Darkside Racing up to 3rd place, the 3rd driver to make his way into the 1-minute 31s. So far looking to be a fairly strong session for the Mercedes drivers. Also will be starting his own flying lap very soon. Down the gears into 3rd. On the power here. Oh, that's very wide on the exit. Don't particularly want to utilize all the road on the exit of turn 1. You want to try and keep it nice and tight for turns 2, 3 and 4. Rear grip is so difficult to find around here because of the nature of the circuit. It's very smooth, very slippery. It is a street circuit. And of course the temperatures are very cold. Not such a huge problem for the soft tyres, but can be a bit more of a problem for the hard tyres, especially on initial warm-up. Staying well away from the outside wall there. That is a wall that you can very easily DNF on, I know from experience. You hit the wall at just slightly the wrong angle, it will tear off one of your front tyres, or even your rear tyre. Now time for the final chicane, missing the first apex slightly, but avoiding the second apex, giving himself a little bit more turning to do. But he will come across the line for an improvement of time and position, jumps up to 4th just behind his teammate with a 1-minute 32.2. And we have Jeff currently in 2nd place in qualifying. It's very, very smooth on the exit there. And this will be his final flying lap, so it better be a good one. Comes across the line and he does improve by 4/10, hits the wall after completing the lap, but it doesn't matter. He's put in his time and it's a 1-minute 31.4, so he has just raised the bar by 4/10. Can anyone else beat that time now? We have White Tiger as well coming across to complete his lap. And it is an improvement of time by almost a 10th, but not an improvement of position. LVJVR, the championship leader, is also out on track. So we will look at Timmy Gunn first. The Red Bull driver is directly behind him and will be hoping to snatch a cheeky little slipstream off the Alpine driver, but I think Alfie is just a little bit too far behind for that to happen. Final lap for the Alpine driver. Braking, turning in very, very early for the first turn, down into second gear, get on the power as fast as you can. Open up this right-hander, keep it flat. Slight little lift there, but a nice, good exit there. Burn the battery. Building up his speed up to 336 kph before hitting the brakes for turn 5. Hit the inside curb nicely, get on the power as quickly as possible. Keep it all nice and smooth. Now you want to hug this inside wall here, hit the brakes and turn in for the chicane. Carry as much speed as you can. Now this is a very tricky traction zone. You want to make sure that you're smooth on the throttle, don't get any wheel spin, but also at the same time carry as much speed as you can through those corners. A good pointy setup through there, so you don't just understeer into oblivion there. Now, very tricky braking zone coming up right here. Hit the brakes and glide just past the apex curb and hit the wall slightly there. That will cost him on the exit. Thankfully, no damage to the car. Session very easily could have ended right there. And then for the Alpine driver, who is currently looking to try and challenge for pole position here. We're just going to quickly look at the Red Bull driver. He is up by 2/10 as well. Timmy Gunn a little bit down here if he wants to beat Jeff's current pole time over the final chicane. Maybe looking a little bit less smooth on the exit, but still looking very, very decent. And he has a little bit more battery to burn here. Coming across the line, it is a 1 minute 31.7, not quite enough to displace Jeff, but it is an improvement of lap time regardless, as LVJVR comes across the line and he ends up climbing up to 5th place. So it is names Jeff, the Ferrari driver, who sits on pole for tonight's race. Followed by Timmy Gunn, who's trailing him by 3/10 of a second. And then just a 10th behind Timmy Gunn is Dark Shadow Racing. So Timmy Gunn unable to improve by a huge amount at the end there. And Forza in the Mercedes in 4th place as well. So Alfie JVR not really able to climb up any more positions there. And he finds himself sitting in 5th place. So it'll be very important for all these drivers, especially those in the midfield, to try and have a clean start, avoid contact at the beginning. The last thing you want to have around Las Vegas is front wing damage and having to pit early. And we will be starting this race at 33 minutes past the hour. Catch you then. And we all go for the formation lap. Only 17 more corners, and then all these drivers will line up on the grid, ready to take the start of the race and get to green flag racing. So in terms of tyres, the entire field starting on the medium tyre compound, but Doctor Who continuing his trend of starting on the hards and trying to take them a little bit longer and going for an alternative strategy. And of course tyre warm-up, very important here around Las Vegas, and that's another thing I forgot to mention, is that the safety car is extremely annoying around the circuit. It absolutely blitzes the field down the straights for some reason. Extremely difficult to keep up with it even on full throttle, and the delta always throws me off when I have a safety car around here. So hopefully we won't have to deal with any safety cars or VSCs, because that would definitely be a headache for these drivers to have to deal with. And also, the last 2 times I've raced around here and we've had safety cars, the safety cars bugged out and has done a late call in into the pits, only to not go into the pits and stay out on track. But the green flag ends up being waved, everyone's supposedly able to race with each other, but if you try and overtake someone, you get flagged for an illegal overtake. So hopefully we won't have that tonight. And Names Jeff has set himself there on the pole sitter side. All the grid. We are now going to wait for green flag in the back. Then the start procedure will begin. 5 red lights will go on. And when they go out, all of these drivers have to react with cat-like speed. Make sure they don't get in the throttle too hard. We are green in Las Vegas. Go, 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 go. Decent start there for Jeff, as Timmy Gunn has absolutely dropped down the field from the front row. He was in 2nd place. He's now down into 5th place, being absolutely swallowed up by the pack. Dream start there for the pole sitter Names Jeff, as we see Toxic Waste going off the track, trying to go around the outside, going off into the very dusty, grubby part of the track, as Alfie JVR, the championship leader, looks to make a move here on Timmy Gunn. The Alpine driver who started in 2nd place, having a horrible time so far, and we have White Tiger going deep into the runoff area, and looks like his race is effectively over before it even started. RVJVR currently finding himself in 4th place. It looks like it is, for the most part, single file now. The 2 Mercedes, 2nd and 3rd. Great start for both of them. But it is an even better start for Names Jeff, who's already bolted. He's got 1.8 seconds to the good ahead of Fossa and Dark Shadow Racing. And speaking of racing, we are about to get racing here at the end of the strip. Slipstream, battery being burnt, and potentially DRS games will be played tonight between the drivers here. Dark Shadow Racing showing a nose to the inside of Forza. Getting some flashbacks from the other day, as that is Dark Shadow Racing into the wall, tagged, it looked like, by Alfie JVR in the back. Dark Shadow Racing was very, very close to Fossa, who did not have the best run out of the chicane, so very easily a shake-up could have happened there, which means Alfie JVR might have found himself alongside the Mercedes man without really necessarily meaning to, and he finds himself with even more contact and loses a front-wing end plate there. Everything going horribly wrong for the championship leader tonight at Las Vegas. And he'll be definitely hoping that what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. does not go to any other round of this championship so far. Also still under pressure here by Timmy Gunn. And Darksider Racing with severe damage to the right side of his front wing. As they go past the sphere with the music booming in the background, but it is definitely not booming for LPJVR nor Darksider Racing, both of which find themselves with battle scars and wounds. They will both be struggling, especially Darksider Racing with that much front wing damage. That car will be refusing to turn in all the left-hand turns. And guess what? This track is mostly left-hand turns. Timmy Gunn pulling up from the slipstream, has battery to spare and DRS as well, going well up the inside of Forza here into the final chicane, as Darksider Racing still able to make the move even with that heavily damaged front wing. As we look behind him to see what happens here between Forza and Toxic Waste, those two are definitely going side by side with each other through the final turn. Forza to be losing quite a lot of speed on the straights here, but he has been able to regain an advantage here into the first turn. So the order as it currently stands is Names Jeff in the lead by 3.5 seconds, followed by Timmy Gunn in second place, Darksider Racing in third place, and Forza in fourth place. It was a dream start for the Mercedes drivers, but damage now to Darksider Racing's front wing, and Forza currently struggling with straight line speed. Means that they are looking backwards rather than forwards. Toxic Waste there, the Racing Bulls driver, he dropped back a little bit during the start. He has tried to find his way back to the front, but I believe he had a little bit of contact there with LPJVR, which set him off the momentum ever so slightly. Alan Buckingham currently in the Williams finds himself in up to 6th place, as Peter84 up to 7th place, ahead of LPJVR, who finds himself now in 8th, only just ahead of his teammate Chicken Wing. There's a bit of a lock up there, it looked like, from LPJVR. He does have that front wing damage. Interestingly enough, Darksider Racing with quite a lot of pace, even with that damaged front wing. He has gapped Forza and is sticking with Timmy Gunn, who has gone completely off the track. Timmy Gunn facing the wrong way in the runoff area if you're looking to rejoin the party. But a big mistake for the Alpine driver finds him tumbling down from 2nd place all the way down to 8th place. So mistakes are plenty here at Las Vegas. I told you that the surface is slippery, and the drivers are proving it right here, as Peter84 with a monster lockup, double front lockup, going well off the track as well, which then hands the position back to Timmy Gunn, who takes it around the outside of turns 3 and 4. Has been able now to climb up one more position, but does not have DRS, which Peter84 in the Haas does, side by side into the turn 5 braking zone. Peter braking earlier there, a little bit indecisive, but then Timmy Gunn nearly going off into the wall there. Braking zones proving to be extremely tricky, all over the track as Peter84 locks up a front and a rear tyre. It looked like as his car slid sideways to the braking zone there. And through all of that, Darksider Racing has actually closed down the gap to Names Jeff. So maybe that Mercedes working better with a missing right-hand side of the front wing than with a right-hand side of the front wing, because Darksider Racing is currently the fastest driver on the track. Currently the biggest gainer is Peter84 in the Haas, but we will take a look at the tyres. Currently they're all on mediums, as I showed at the start. A little bit of a move there further down the field, it looked like. Yeah, it looked like Peter84 has found his way back past Timmy Gunn. He then taps the wall on the exit of that tricky final chicane. Very, very tight fight developing here in the midfield. We've already had numerous mistakes, numerous contacts with other drivers. Oh no, that is LPJVR retired from the session, and Timmy Gunn caught up with it. And of course it happened when I was not looking at them. Timmy Gunn completely missing his front wing, as the safety car has now been officially called out onto the track. And the championship leader finds himself without a chance at any points in this race. And now the Williams driver of Ohm has spun it under safety car conditions. And has now hit the wall, potentially damaging his front wing there. We'll take a look at it in this next shot here. Yes, he has lost a front wing end plate there because of that. So a safety car has been called out on lap 5 for a crash involving the championship leader, Alfie JVR, and looks like Timmy Gunn was also involved. I'm not sure if there were other drivers involved as well, but all we do know is that Alfie JVR has retired from the session, and the entire pack will now have to bunch up behind the safety car. Timmy Gunn has completely lost his front wing and will most certainly enter the pits to have that changed. Darksider Racing will also be looking to benefit from the safety car. He had a bit of a gap before the safety car was called out, and he will definitely pit, replace that front wing, give himself a new race start to the race. It is a very strange incident with what happened between Alfie JVR. I'm looking at the replay here on my phone, and I don't see Alfie JVR was at any point near someone, so potentially he just lost it by himself on the throttle, and Timmy Gunn just so happened to be the unfortunate and innocent party involved in that crash. But definitely the resulting contact between the two cars is what led to Alfie JVR's rear left or front left tyre being sheared off the car, which then immediately DNF'd him from the race. Now, the last time we had a safety car, I forgot to unmute my mic before the safety car was called into the pits, so I'll make sure not to repeat that mistake again. So a news story has now emerged from this race. Names Sheriff and Toxic Waste staying out on slightly older medium tyres, sticking to a proper one-stop strategy here, but everyone else behind them all decided to bolt to the pits and put fresh rubber on, most of them taking the hard tyre rubber. Riding on board with the Ferrari driver of Doctor Who started on the hards and now finds himself up into 7th place. The safety car's not too bad for him, but he will now be up against it with everyone else behind him on fresh tyres. White Tiger is the other driver to stay out under the safety car. He went off on the starting lap. If you remember, into turn 5 he went well off the track into the runoff area, had to do a 180 spin in the runoff area to get back on track, very similar to what Timmy Gunn had to do. For all of his troubles and collisions that he's been involved with, he finds himself now in 10th place. still with a chance to make something happen in this Grand Prix. And of course, it's only lap 7 out of 25, so most of this Grand Prix is yet to be run. Anything can and very likely will happen. As the great Murray Walker used to say, if is Formula 1 spelt backwards. Well, I said anything could happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. Well, Ohm just retired on the first straight there, between turns 4 and 5. Can't see that anyone else was involved with him. I wasn't looking at him at that stage, and I was in fact looking away from the screen, so when I looked back up, I suddenly saw Ohm retired from the session. I could see from Joshua Nott's onboard, it looks like as though he was sideways into the wall, minus a tyre. So we've already had 2 retirements, one under safety car conditions. Potentially happened while he was trying to warm up his tyres. Definitely a bit of a strange incident there. I believe we will be going back to green flag racing soon. Yes, we are. But the safety car's not quite in the pits yet. I hope this has not glitzed out everything for everyone. Yep, it is glitzed out. Oh yeah, and that is Peter 84 into the wall, and that is Alan Buckingham sideways across the track, and everyone's piled into him. It is a monster pile up, as everyone has been caught up by the famous safety car glitz at Las Vegas, where the safety car pulls into the pits, but it is not green flag racing yet. Everyone went flying into that, thinking that they were going back racing, only to suddenly find everyone slowing down rapidly at the start finish line, and a monster crash that just occurred before our very own eyeballs. Top 3 looking to not have any damage, but Forza completely missing a front wing, and Timmy Gunn also somehow managing to avoid all of that carnage. And he finds himself suddenly back up into 5th place with at least very little damage. I can't see any damage on his front wing there. Chicken Wing missing a front wing end plate, also not looking too bad for him. Doctor Who also mostly damage free, as well as for Joshua Nott. There was definitely Peter 84, White Tiger, and Alan Buckingham who suffered the absolute worst of it. I am extremely shocked that no one retired from that. C.A. Williams sideways on the racing line and see everyone just piling into it. But then to discover that all of them actually managed to survive that and no one retired is quite incredible. And now Jeff and Toxic Waste are taking opportunity of this safety car to pit off their medium tires and put on the hards. At this stage, I believe they will easily be able to take the hards to the end. I think at this point, basically everyone who does not have major damage will be looking at when stopping this race. Definitely worked out for White Tiger, because he stayed out on those mediums. Means that he's able to pit from the mediums onto the hard tires. Had he already pitted onto the hard tires, he potentially could have got more damage and then would have had to go onto medium tires and take them all the way to the end. We do have a penalty here. Drive through for White Tiger. I do not see when that popped up. I don't know if that was the... Oh, that's deep for Doctor Who. Jordan, nicely done. So I'm not entirely sure if White Tiger got his drive-through penalty there for the first safety car, or if it's only now for the second safety car. Potentially he was a little bit too fast coming into the pits and was speeding under the delta. So once again, let's take a look at tyres. So Doctor Who, unfortunately, the safety car not working out well for him, because now he has to go onto medium tyres. And I don't think he'll be able to take them 15 laps and take them to the end of the race. So Jeff and Toxic Waste on fresh hard tyres with no damage, because they were at the front of the field when the safety car pulled in. It's worked out brilliantly for them. They've only got a few cars to pass. But Timmy Gunn finds himself once again at the sharp end of the field with Dark Shadow Racing. They will have older tyres, but most of these laps have been done under safety car, so I believe they will be able to take their tyres to the end as well. They will be losing out a little bit in terms of pace compared to the others. And now it's going to be round 2 of can the safety car go into the pits without breaking the whole game? Well, let's wait and find out. Take 2, and the safety car has now left the field. But will we actually go back to green flag racing, or will it be the same glitch as before? It is looking like it might be repeating itself. Yes, it is repeating itself. Everyone, hold up. Careful, we might not be back under racing again here. Let's wait and find out, or maybe it does. No, it seems like we are back under racing. So potentially an issue there with those at the front of the field releasing the fuel too soon and catching up to the safety car before it had pulled into the pits, and then suddenly finding themselves being forced to slow down by the game, because it looks like people are being able to pass each other without immediately having to give back positions, as that is Forso once again into the barrier, and well, he's been burning through his front wings like nobody's business, and that's another one gone to the dust, and a VSC has been called out. So looks like as though it might not have actually really been a safety car glitch the first time. I did notice that the lead driver in both instances accelerated very, very soon after the safety car had been caught into the pits. And I do wonder if they caught back up with the safety car before it had crossed the pit lane entry line. Because if that happens, the game basically forcibly slows you down, and that might have been what was catching everyone out. Now, of course, the Delta here is very, very fast down the straights, and you can see everyone here behind Chicken Wing is being held up, as it looks like he might be a bit under the Delta here. Oh, and that is VSC ended, and a drive-through penalty awarded to Timmy Gun. The Alpine driver in second place was looking very, very good for him until now. He now has a drive-through penalty for speeding under VSC. I say the Delta was tricky. The top two were running away with it, with that Delta. Everyone else behind being held up. Actually, see, name's Jeff. Ping-ponging off the wall there, but able to keep it on track, and Toxic Waste tries to follow him through and make the pass, and Chicken Wing as well, but goes very, very wide himself. Timmy Gun also has a 10-second penalty, which is very, very interesting. I wonder where he picked that up from. And Forza has gone to the pits along with White Tiger, so potentially White Tiger also got damage there from somewhere. As we see Toxic Waste going for the outside move on Chicken Wing, a slight little nudge there, it looked like, from Chicken Wing on Toxic Waste, but both of them are able to keep their cars on the road as we go now into turn 7 and 8. Oh, Chicken Wing going very, very deep, almost off the track. Don't want to do that, keep it on the road. And it looks like this is the closest battle currently. We do have Buckingham fighting here with Joshua Knott, but I will keep an eye here on battle for third place. Doctor Who has caught up now to Chicken Wing. He's on medium tyres, but it will be very difficult for him to bring these tyres all the way to the end of the race, but he will definitely be wanting to try and make hay while the sun shines. Hello Big Red Vigilante, welcome to the stream. So what happened to LVJVR? Looks like he lost the car on throttle out of turn 1, which put him sideways, and then he was collected by Timmy Gun, who just did not see him, stuck there on the racing line. Very unfortunate what happened between the two of them, and it meant that LVJVR ended up losing a wheel. But before that, there had already been multiple bits of contact between LVJVR and various different cars. A lot of incidents to look through after the race to see exactly what happened. I do wish we had a replay system here to know exactly what happened there. Yeah, so basically the safety car Delta at this track is pretty much broken. It is 100% throttle plus battery down all the straights, but then it's much slower through the corners. So I believe what happened there is Chicken Wing was driving a little bit slower on the straights, which meant that he was losing a lot of time to the virtual safety car Delta. I believe that is why the top two were able to open up such a big gap under that VSC. But it has worked out brilliantly for Darksider Racing, who now finds himself leading by 8.5 seconds ahead of names Jeff. Doctor Who finds himself behind Chicken Wing here in 4th place. Timmy Gun, after serving the drive-through penalty, has found himself right back up with the pack here. But he does have a 10-second penalty. Not entirely sure where he got that from. He looks for a move up the inside there of Chicken Wing, but backs out of it last second. Chicken Wing got a good exit here, looks like. He doesn't quite have enough battery to be able to attack Doctor Who once again. You see Timmy Gun going for a move up the inside as Doctor Who locks up a tyre there, a very long lockup. Chicken Wing fighting there with Timmy Gun. And a little bit of contact there between the two of them. It looked like Timmy Gun got slightly squeezed into the wall there. And he has a lot of battery here, but he's not really trying to go for a move too much here into turn 5. Definitely has more grip here than Chicken Wing, but unable to find a way past for now. And now turn 7 and 8, very tricky chicane. Oh, and that is Timmy Gun into a shortcut chicane. after having to try and avoid colliding with Chicken Wing on the entry there. Chicken Wing really struggling with the braking there in turn 12, going very deep there, giving him a very bad exit as a result of that. But it does mean that Timmy Gunn gets ahead before the DI's detection point. The DI's detection point extremely late on in this straight, which means that Chicken Wing will get the DIS. But Timmy Gunn has so much battery that he should be able to stay ahead before the braking zone, which he does indeed do. And he has now secured his 5th place there, and will hope to be able to build a big enough gap so that the 10-second penalty won't cost him too much. We have a fight shaping up here towards the back between Forza and Joshua Knott. Only fighting for 9th place. I will bring up the tyre graphic once again to see what tyres everyone is on. So Dark Shadow Racing on the older set of tyres. Oh, Joshua Knott slow down a lot there. Not really trying to race anyone at this point. So Dark Shadow Racing on pretty much the oldest tyres in the entire field, but he has an 8-second lead. And you remember beforehand when he had severe front wing damage, he was very fast. He was catching up to Name's Chef. So Dark Shadow Racing very fast around this track in race conditions. Jeff finds himself in 2nd place. He's had a clean race otherwise. Toxic Waste had also been moving up and down the field. Now finds himself in the podium spot of 3rd place. Doctor Who locked up his inside tyre then to turn 12. Again, very tricky braking zone. Doctor Who's been struggling with his brakes a little bit there, which gives him a worse exit and allows Timmy Gunn here to have a go at him around the outside. Braking very late for the chicane, going a bit deep in the middle part of it, but he does make the move stick well within track limits, as we see Alan Buckingham also making the move on Chicken Wing. Chicken Wing, with that damage to the front wing, he did not elect to repair it under any of the safety cars that we had. And that is Chicken Wing going very, very deep into the braking zone of turn 5. Just about managing to avoid the barrier on the outside there. It is lap 17 out of 25. So only 8 laps left to go after this one. And I dare not say that it looks like it is going to be Dark Shadow Racing winning, because with what we've seen so far in this race, track position means nothing until the final lap, and potentially not even the final lap, but the final corner of the final lap. We have Doctor Who going to the pits. So I said that he would struggle to bring those medium tyres to the end of the race, and he has decided to enter the pits. But he is replacing his front wing, so potentially some damage there that we did not see. He was struggling with his braking, so potentially he went wide and hit a barrier somewhere. And decided, you know what, I'm struggling with grip on these tyres. Let me go into a fresh set and also replace the front wing at the same time. The gap is remaining steady at the front of the field. Rockstar Racing hitting 339 kph on the straight there, whilst burning battery, but Jeff not electing to burn his battery. Finds himself 10 kph down as a result. Waste. Even more down on straight line speed there. Demigun has almost opened up a 10-second gap to Annan Buckingham, so if things continue the way they are currently, Demigun is on for a 4th place finish. Which, considering all the things that have happened, is not a bad result. We do have a new driver here with us, White Tiger in the Aston Martin, and he is currently chasing down Chicken Wing for 6th place. And we have White Tiger in the Aston Martin, the new driver looking to make a move on Chicken Wing in the Red Bull. Closed the gap very nicely on the straight there with DIs, but not able to get close enough or move into the braking zone. The gap has continued to grow at the front of the field, and Dog Center Racing now has a 10-second lead over names Jeff, as we see White Tiger with a good run on the outside here of Chicken Wing, hits the brakes for turn 5 and manages to stay ahead for the apex of the turn. Chicken Wing is still struggling with the braking into that chicane. You can hear the tyres are locking and squealing for dear life. It is now lap 21 out of 25. Only 4 laps to go after this one. And Chicken Wing does not have enough battery to be able to challenge White Tiger into the final chicane. Turns 14, 15 and 16. Finds himself running wide in the middle of the corner and losing even more time. Looks like Forza is lining up to go into the pits. He's had a nightmare of a race and will hope to forget about this one as quickly as possible. He had a good qualifying, then the race went wrong almost immediately for him in the race. Struggling for straight line speed meant that he was being overtaken left, right and centre. And Forza has now bolted on the soft tyre compound and will be looking at taking the fastest lap Take an extra point for Mercedes Petronas F1. Currently it is Darksider Racing with the fastest lap, but only by a small margin to Names Jeff. Oh, that is very, very wide for Doctor Who as he goes off the track. Exited stage right. And he has left a souvenir in... Well, he's left his front wing end plate as a souvenir in that barrier. Let's take a look at the other Ferrari driver struggling with traction there. Looking a little bit too similar to Charles Leclerc in the past two Grand Prix. While proving to be a handful. But so far, Namechef has been able to keep it on the road, but the gap to Darksider Racing in front has definitely increased quite significantly over these last couple of laps. And again, on the exit of that turn 12 hairpin, Jeff really struggling with the traction in that Ferrari. Toxic Waste has brought down the gap by about a second to Names Chef. Was at one stage around 3.5 seconds. Someone who's really been flying in these past couple of laps is Timmy Gunn with that 10-second penalty. Fortunately, I don't think he'll be able to overtake Toxic Waste and Jeff and open up a 10-second gap. So, unless something drastic happens, which is extremely likely after what we've seen so far in this race, Timmy Gunn is very likely set for a 4th place finish. Currently out in front we have Darksider Racing, who has caught up to the Haas driver of Joshua Knott. Joshua Knott pulls out of the way, lets the race leader through, making sure he does not impede him or hold him up. Oh, Jeff still struggling. That gap is coming down rapidly. Toxic Waste is eyeing out a 2nd place finish here if he can just get within that 1 second window early enough before the final lap and get a chance at an overtake on the Las Vegas Strip with DRS open and with battery to spare. Toxic Waste would be in a good position. The gap is still continuing to come down. Names Jeff is out of battery, which means that he's losing a lot of straight line speed. Only 326 kph, and Toxic Waste also on 326 kph, but he was gaining earlier on in the lap. As we see Alan Buckingham, he's gone deep into the wall. Turn 12. That has gifted 5th place to White Tiger, as we see Chicken Wing. Whoa, that is very, very deep. Almost looked like Lando Norris in 2023 when he hit that bump and went screaming off in a shower of sparks into the barriers. So let's take a look at the tyres here, because I believe Toxic Waste is on similar age tyres. Yes, he is. 14 lap tyres on Jeff's car and 14 lap old tyres on Toxic Waste car as well, but clearly Toxic Waste currently able to extract a bit more grip from these tyres, especially on the rear axle. And he is now finally closed up to within a second of the Ferrari driver, who has now dropped a further 2 seconds to the race leader. Oh, just you can see he's just struggling in every single traction zone. Really looking horrible for him. Oh, but Toxic Waste, he might... if he burns his battery after this turn, he will be within a second and will get DRS, and he is currently within a second, and he has more battery. So this is slam dunk for Toxic Waste. He will get DRS. Now the question is, will he be able to get close enough, early enough, before the braking zone to be able to go for an overtake on Jeff here? It looks like it. Jeff is harvesting. He is derating as Toxic Waste throws one up the inside. Oh, and there's a little bit of contact there between the two of them. Controversial moment there as Jeff is snaking all over the place, really struggling with that rear tyre grip, and Toxic Waste gets to have another run on the Ferrari driver up the inside of turn 17 through the start finish straight into turn 1, and it looks like as though Toxic Waste has been able to secure this position. Jeff though, fighting still, trying to hang around the outside, but his rear tyres say no. You have abused me thus far, I will not give you the grip you want. And that is 3rd place and will be 2nd place going to Toxic Waste if he is able to stay within 10 seconds of Timmy Gunn, which is extremely likely, and as long as he makes sure that he doesn't get repassed by names Jeff. But you know, Toxic Waste, he does not want to sit behind Timmy Gunn for any longer than he absolutely has to. He wants to get past immediately. Darksider Racing will be coming across the line. No, he's still quite early on. Wrong Mercedes I was looking at on the track map. And there we see Joshua not making sure he gets out of the way. So after having a slight bit of contact at the chicane between his front right tyre and Jeff's rear left tyre, Toxic Waste has been able to salvage his car and his position, managed to get past names Jeff once again into the final turn. Now finds himself behind Timmy Gunn, who has a 10-second penalty, but of course Toxic Waste will want to try and take this position on track in case that penalty gets removed post-race, as Darksider Racing has won the race. But that is Toxic Waste gone very deep off the track, hit the wall, and you know what, he might lose this position once again to Jeff, but Jeff is not able to get a good enough run here. Timmy Gunn will cross the line in 2nd place on track, but with the penalty applied, he will be down in 4th place. Toxic Waste takes 2nd place, names Jeff in 3rd place. Excellent run there by Darksider Racing. Sorry, I wasn't able to see you across the line. We were witnessing an attempt at an overtake there by Toxic Waste, who was unable to make it stick. And White Tiger, the new driver, the new boy in town, has come across the line in the Aston Martin to take 5th place. And Buckingham able to survive most of the chaos for the most part and comes home in 6th place, followed by Doctor Who had to take that 2-stop strategy and pit under green flag conditions, but has found his way back up into 7th place. Chicken Wing really struggling with his braking. So that was a very crazy and chaotic race. So many incidents, so many drivers struggling with their braking, and when you least expect carnage to hit, it hits. Excellent win there by Darksider Racing, who dominated that race in the latter part. And Timmy Gunn is your driver of the day. Found himself off the track at one stage at the final chicane, had to do a 180 spin to get back onto the racing surface. Managed to find his way all the way back up into 4th place. Got a drive-through under BSC conditions, and then a 10-second penalty, which might be removed post-race, depends on what was given for. But otherwise, it is Toxic Waste and names Jeff who round out the podium positions. The White Tiger was given a drive-through, it looks like, was it? Or a severe collision. That's the first time I've seen a drive-through issued for a collision in this game. And a couple of 10-second penalties being given there for collisions as well. So it looks like Timmy Gunn got his 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And that is where he got his 10-second penalty. Well, that is the Tier 3 race finished. I hope you all enjoyed it. That was a very chaotic race to watch. A lot of spicy on-track moments. And two safety cars ended up being extremely problematic. I'm not entirely sure if there was actually a glitch that happened there or if it was just a mistiming of the launch. Anyhow, that's it for me tonight. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be racing in Tier 1 at Las Vegas as well on Wednesday night. I will see you there. Goodbye for now.